Already big here in New York when the first of the president's 5 children was born. And through the years, the family real estate business has grown into a global brand, of course. And now the Trumps are the first family of the United States. Ranging in age from 12 to 40 years old, the president's children are center stage inside and outside the White House. And NBC and MSNBC contributor and Vanity Fair senior reporter Emily Jane Fox is out with a new look at the Trump children. It's called Born Trump. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And you've been covering the kids. They're not kids. Most of them are adults now for years.
Yes.
Was this a difficult subject? Were they cooperative with the book?
You know, what's interesting is I've been covering the children on the campaign and now into the White House for about 3 years. And at first, I said to myself, these are people who've been in the public eye for their entire lives. They've been written about since they were born. And so what more was there to learn about them? Everything had already been written, I thought. And once I started the reporting process, I interviewed about 150 people for the book, and there was so much more to learn about them.
What is your overarching takeaway about how the children were raised and you know, what their childhood was like?
In some ways, their childhood was, most ways, it was incredibly privileged. These are children who went to the best schools, who had 2 nannies living with them, a healthy sibling relationship, were given every opportunity to succeed in life. But in other ways, their childhood was quite different. Their parents got divorced at a very young age, and one of the most public divorces in history. They were chased to school by paparazzi asking them questions about the sordid details of their father's affair. And so it was both a very privileged and very tricky childhood.
Absolutely. I mean, the 3 older children were just at that key age, where like 8, 10, 12, when all of this was unfolding. And how did they handle it? I mean, I think you report in the book about Don Jr. having some trouble with his father for a few years, that they had somewhat of a tense relationship.
Sure. Don Jr. was 12 when this all played out, and so he was old enough to understand, and the press around this didn't let him forget it, and the children in school also were all talking about it, and so he had a lot of anger at the time. He didn't speak to his father for quite a bit of time, and their relationship took a while to heal. His relationship with Ivanka was interesting. She was concerned that perhaps she would be replaced, that she asked her mother, am I still going to be a Trump? Is that still going to be my last name? So she would call her father more often. She would go visit him at his office more often. And so it was an interesting dynamic, and Eric was very young when it all happened. The press was so scrutinizing of their every move that Yvonne actually moved them down to Palm Beach for 3 months in order to get them out of the public eye.
And what do we learn about Donald Trump as a father? I mean, it certainly is, by all appearances, he's very close to his children. They seem to idolize him. So his adult children, in any event, seem to have a really good relationship with him. Was he a hands-on father? What kind of father was he?
I would not call him hands-on. This was someone who was very self-focused, and someone who was still very self-focused, and his children learned to work around this. But they had 2 full-time nannies who filled a lion's share of the traditional parenting work. Ivana's parents were also very involved. Their parents were out almost every single night. They were working full-time, overtime, and so it wasn't a traditional Donald Trump changing diapers situation. It was very much of he's the father, the patriarch of the family, but not someone who is, hitting balls with their kids in the park.
You also talk about, of course, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump and their marriage, and I know you've got reporting in there that people who feel like this is the perfect match, that they really belong together.
It's fascinating. They are 2 souls who are destined to be together. Their professional ambitions certainly align, but their damages from their fathers are very similar. And so they feel like they serve a purpose for each other, to fill a need hole for one another as they climbed professionally, but also tried to build their own family in an image that was very dissimilar to the family that they grew up in. Well,
there are 5 children and lots to cover there. Emily Jane Fox, thank you so much. Congratulations.